Hi, I'm Jonathan Stevens, and this is Jackie Avent. Lydia Carpenter is sick today, so Jackie's filling in for her part of the presentation. We're going to talk briefly about, we're both farmers. I do small-scale vegetable, and Jackie does also, Lydia does pastured meats. And we're going to talk about the way we farm and how we think it offers solutions to a number of the problems posed by our current global food system. I'm going to talk about two aspects that I think are important. One is the fact that we're small scale, and the other fact is that we use a method of farming called biological farming, and I'll talk about that a bit. Starting small. From a philosophical kind of point of view, we believe that farming, producing food, meeting needs is important work, it's important knowledge, and it should be work and knowledge that is kind of contained by a significant part of the population and people, and it should be work that's available to most people. And we kind of come from a generation that's really disconnected from our food source, and we got interested in that kind of work. Starting small is an option that's viable for most people. It doesn't require a lot of startup costs, it doesn't require a lot of machinery, and it also doesn't require dependence on fossil fuels. Currently, I make a living on 1.5 acres, which can all be worked by hand. And so starting small has a lot of benefits other than that we think are important. First of all, it creates, disperses the knowledge of how to grow food through a lot of people. It means there's a lot more farmers rather than a few large farms employing labor. You have a lot of farmers who are skilled and knowledgeable in the methods of sustainable agriculture, and in this way it makes food security more resilient because there's just a lot more people who know how to grow food. It also creates meaningful work for a lot more people. The fact is, a lot of jobs that we're offered in our culture have minimal utility, and some are destructive, and having that option, I think, is important to do meaningful work. So other than dispersal of knowledge, it's also a dispersal of wealth and economic and political power. And by that I mean, right now we have a lot of large companies that really are not accountable, can't be held accountable. They're too wealthy, they're too powerful, and they're in control of a lot of our food distribution. By supporting a small farmer directly, it allows people to take that power back. And I'm personally accountable to all my customers who support me directly, and that's the case for a lot of small farmers. So yes, that's about small farming. Next, CSAs and direct marketing. The way we do it is direct marketing. I've just mentioned that. I'll just say what a CSA is. It's a way for a customer to support a farmer directly. They will buy a share in a farm. So they'll pay at the beginning of the year, and then they'll just get a box of vegetables every week, and different farms do it differently. But this way, customers share in the risk of the farm, and they also share in the vision and the direction of the farm. Allows them to become directly involved in how their food is produced. The second aspect that I think is very important about how we produce our food is, like I said, the focus on soil biology. The topsoil is basically our most important resource, and it's being destroyed very fast by chemical mechanized agriculture. I think it's about 12,000 pounds per person per year is lost of topsoil using the methods of chemical mechanized agriculture. So biological farming, the focus is not on exploiting the soil, but it's on building the soil. It recognizes the soil as a living ecosystem on which all other life depends. And so we focus on building organic matter through things like cover cropping and use of compost, and we try and balance the nutrients for all the soil biology, so that's through the use of natural fertilizers like rock dust and fish products rather than fertilizer salts and synthetic nitrogen, which kill soil biology and oxidize humus. So the target for biological farming in our climate is about 5% organic matter, and conventional farms usually have 1 to 2%. In other words, they're glorified hydroponic operations. And this also leads to the sequestration of a significant amount of carbon. I believe it's both, well, one with perennial pasture, which Lydia does, you can sequester up to 3,000 to 4,000 pounds of carbon per acre. And it's one actually it's a method of climate control that's ignored but is very significant. So other than that, there's also just the health of the food. Studies have found, the most recent study done by the Organic Institute found that the nutrient density of organic food is 25% more dense, and that's on average. Like best biological farming practices, I'm guessing, are quite a bit denser. Farms that focus, that monitor the nutrient density and the Brix levels of their vegetables. And so that would require essentially less land, less agriculture to get the same amount of nutrients. And yeah, so small scale, biological, and healthier food. And Jackie will take it.
So I'm here for Lydia, and my name is Jackie Avent, so Lydia Carpenter is sorry she can't be here. And this last summer, Lydia and I did a permaculture design certificate course, and we learned all about things like integrated systems and stacking, and in organic and small-scale agriculture, you want to use as much as you have to the maximum. And so looking at these pictures of the pigs and of the chickens, those are playing a really important role on any farm, even if they don't, at the end of their life, become food on our plate. The chickens are eating insects, they're eating grubs, they're eating kitchen scraps, and their manure is being used as part of the composting operation, and it's used in terms of growing the vegetables. They're producing eggs, and they can be, at the end of their life, eaten as well. So, you know, they have a part of being part of that system of a farm, that integrated system. And they also share in that with the pigs, where the pigs are, you know, they're running around in the garden. You can put them out there and they do your tilling for you. They're eating kitchen scraps. They're producing waste. They're just letting themselves be a pig in a natural system. They're not holed up in a cage or in a factory farm. And together, like, they require maintenance and they require upkeep, and there's a cost associated with that on any farm. But at the end of the day, if you think of like what the inputs are for those things, which is food and shelter and maybe some, you know, attention every once in a while, but what you get out of them is sort of these contributors to your it's almost like free labor on your farm. They're eating your waste products. They're contributing manure. They're adding sort of social and entertainment value to your farm. So thinking of value outside of just something that you can eat and ends up as meat on your plate. This is a picture of a fish head soup that was made in Brazil. And this dish tells a really important story, because the story of this bowl of soup isn't one of sitting down in a restaurant and it comes out in front of you. It's a story of a family going out and harvesting food for a day. So harvesting plantain, harvesting catching fish, and then taking the time to carefully prepare that together. And at the end of the day, when you add a little bit of flour to the soup and you sit down and you eat together, you have a story of a community of people that have come together to share in not just the preparation of a meal, but also the harvesting of that meal and the cultivation of that meal. So when we think about ourselves being food citizens, it's not to say that everybody here has to go and put a shovel in the ground, although there's so many benefits to doing that. I really highly recommend it. But if it's outside of your interest right now, or it's outside of your ability, then you can still be part of that collective food system. Farms are not just people who produce food, they're also the consumer who eats the food. And so every farmer needs somebody to eat the food that they produce. So I think collectively we can have a really strong food system if we become engaged in it in whatever level and with whatever strength we have.